Hello, everyone, and welcome to OHSCA Interviews. I'm Vasu Bardwaj, and I'm your host for today's episode. Today, I have with me the MPP for Brampton North and the Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism, Graham McGregor. Graham, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, Vasu, and thanks for having me on. Great job on the intro, and to all your viewers, thanks for having me on. Thanks for watching. Look forward to a good discussion today.
Yes, and we actually recently interviewed the Minister for Citizenship and Multiculturalism, Michael Ford, back in November. So we're extremely excited to have you on the show. I know this has been in works for a couple of months now, and we're very grateful that you've joined us today.
Yeah, that's a tough act to follow, man. Like you probably should have had me on first and then him. I'm embarrassed to be able to follow him, but I'll try to be as entertaining as I can.
All right. So we kind of asked this to everyone, and just to start off our interviews, can you tell us how you got started into politics?
Yeah, so I actually discovered I was a conservative in high school myself. So I was in grade 12 at the time, and it was the 2011 election. And so Stephen Harper's big majority win. And I, uh, I, I guess I turned 18 on May 26th, but the election happened, I think, on May 7th. So I was kind of unable to vote by about 3 weeks, and I probably wouldn't have cared as much about the election, were I able to vote at the time. But I was so mad that I was missing it by 3 weeks, and I was so motivated to get out there, and I really believed in the kind of common sense economic message that he was preaching. Low taxes, driving investment, putting money back into people's pockets. The idea that individuals spend their money better than the government does. That really resonated with me as a young man. And I pursued politics at university at Carleton, got involved with my campus club, became a volunteer for my local MP, a guy named Parham Gill. I would put letters into envelopes. I would carry his bags. I remember I got a big promotion one time when I was volunteering for him, where I was allowed to look at the email account. I wasn't allowed to answer any emails, but I was able to click flag on the important ones, and I was allowed to delete the spam emails from the account. It was a big responsibility at the time. I still remember, but I have really fond memories of my time, kind of volunteering, eventually interning on Parliament Hill, and the camaraderie that you get in especially partisan politics is really awesome. I mean, I've always liked team sports as a kid growing up, and politics really is a team sport, and it's great to be involved. And some of the relationships that I built literally as an intern, 10 years ago, are still relationships that I carry forward today. And it's crazy how life works out that way. But and then I guess, one thing led to another, and eventually I got elected in June. I was very lucky to do so. Same riding that Parham represented as a federal member, all those years ago. And we're just standing up for Brampton taxpayers every single day, and fighting for the future of our province.
I mean, it's great to see that you got involved at such a young age. I know lots of people at my age, especially within the teenager years, are more so left leaning. And I say this to a lot of people. Almost everybody becomes a conservative as soon as they start paying taxes and see how their dollar gets spent.
Yeah,
So,
well, big time. And the reality is, a lot of the tax dollars that we're paying today is servicing the debt that left-wing politicians racked up years in the past. So it's funny. A lot of the kind of biggest victims of kind of silly left-wing spending are actually young people they're going to have to pay that debt down eventually. So it almost makes more sense to be young and be a conservative. But I agree with you. Most of the people in my generation, when I was coming up, they said, conservatives, why are you getting involved? And then once you have some discussions with people, and you tell them what we're all about, and what we believe in, freedom, your freedom to spend your money, the way that you want to, a government that's efficient, that does what it needs to do, that actually gets things done. I think a lot of people resonate with that eventually. So, we still have work to do in our movement, but I think you're doing a fantastic job with the High School Conservative Association. I think Vincenzo, obviously the founder, this kind of stuff is awesome, right? We got to make sure that we're doing our part to reach out to young people, but it's also, quite frankly, you don't need a old guy like me. I mean, I'm 29. I'm not that old, but you don't need a guy like me telling you to get involved. It's really young people stepping up and being leaders. And you don't need any adults' permission to get involved. You can get involved in politics and be a conservative. The second that you decide to. So I really I admire what you're doing here and the work that the association does, because you guys are really fighting for a better future for all your classmates.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's always nice to hear that our work is appreciated, and on behalf of Vincenzo as well, thank you so much. So thank you, Graham, for your time today, and thank you for joining us. So we're gonna move on to our question and answer segment, and these questions are asked by the members of our high school team. So the first question comes from Raggy, right in Etobicoke North, Doug Ford's riding, and he wants to ask you, you've made quite a name for yourself, even as a very young MPP, and not as an official minister. How did you achieve that?
Well, I'd say that he's very, very nice. It's very kind. Um, Look, I think people respect work. I've always been a worker. I've always been a grinder. I've been elected for about 6 months, but I've been involved in the party for much longer than that. Like I said, I started as an intern. I have knocked doors in probably a couple dozen elections. You try to elect conservatives all across Ontario, wherever you can find them. I've probably knocked 50,000 doors in my career. So if I'm good at speaking, or if I'm good at communicating a conservative message, it's because I've put in tens of thousands of hours practicing doing that, talking to people at their door. You got to put the work in, I think not expecting any title or position out of it. If you're just putting in the work and helping good people do good things, eventually you'll be in a position where people expect you to put your name forward, put your name on a ballot, and that's kind of what happened with me going into this election. And I was very lucky that my first time running, we were able to win. Doug Ford winning a historic second majority. We actually expanded our seat count after the first term, which is almost unheard of in Canadian politics. And Brampton North was one of them. We lost this my riding, by about 500 votes in 2018. I was lucky enough to win it by 5,000 votes, and we did it by talking about stuff that people care about: building roads, building hospitals, building economic opportunity, getting jobs where people can work eventually, and also putting money back in people's pockets. The license plate sticker fees, the gas tax rebate that we did. We need to understand that it's not the government's money; it's the money of taxpayers. And when you understand that and you spend it wisely, and you actually do the things that you say you're going to do, voters tend to reward you for that, whether you're a conservative or anything else.
100%. And I wouldn't really say it was luck. I mean, 46% people voted for you. So there was a very high amount of people who entrusted you to represent Brampton North provincially.
Yeah,
So
it was a big mandate, man. But now the magic is to not screw it up, right? So we're being laser focused on delivering for Brampton. We got a lot of exciting projects on the go here. We're getting a second hospital in. We're bringing a medical school to Brampton, historic, first time ever in Brampton, first time in about 100 years that we've got a new medical school in the GTA coming to my city. We're building a new Highway 413, which every left wing party said we shouldn't do. They said it was bad. They said that Brampton drivers didn't deserve a bypass highway around the city. We said we're going to get it done, and we got rewarded for it because I think when you have good ideas, you stand by them, and you don't let the loud, noisy left tell you otherwise. I think people respect that, and we got a good mandate. But like I said, we won the election, but we got to make sure we're actually doing the work and standing up for people and getting things done.
100%. So I want to move on to our next question, which talks about a little bit about your past experiences as well. So how is it like being a constituency assistant to an MP and eventually an MPP? And what do you think this shows for people who put in the work?
Um, I think it shows that it's possible. I was a federal conservative intern in 2013, and when I was an intern, people we had guest speakers that would come in and they'd say things like, "Oh, well, maybe there's future politicians in the room, and one of you one day could be elected, and this and that." And when I was a constituency assistant, people would tell me the same thing. Oh, one day, if you work hard, you can make it. And you know, when I got elected, it's just another proof point that is totally correct. The skills that you pick up in a constituency office or on a campaign, dealing with real people about learning what they really care about, learning customer service, learning ground organization, what issues actually matter to people, how to communicate around those, how to build relationships and build networks. Those are all really critical skills that eventually can help you get elected when you run. And I say to a lot of people, don't be disheartened as well. I was lucky to win my first time, right, it worked out. A lot of people don't win their first time, but keep going, right? Anybody that's in this business, that you tend to lose more often than you win. When you're a political strategist or a campaign manager, which I've been several times, but you got to keep your head up and you got to just grind, right? You got to keep going forward. We went through, gosh, since 2012 to 2017. I was a part of probably a dozen different campaigns and by-elections and whatever. And we didn't really get a lot of wins. I don't know if I got any wins until 2018 came around, where I managed the Brampton West candidate, Amarjot Sandhu's campaign, where we were able to win. We squeaked through, and the way you look at a guy like Amarjot Sandhu, he worked his riding super hard. He only won by 500 votes last time. He won by 6,600 votes this time, and it's by working your riding, working the constituency. He's got great staff in his office that are, hitting the phone every day, helping people with their problems. So, I'd say to anybody that if any of the viewers are interested in a career in politics, do the work. And don't just do the work once. Do it again and again and again and again. And you're going to put yourself in good spots where good things can happen.
100%. I mean, hard work is the key to anything. If you want to achieve anything, hard work will get you there. Of course, there'll be some, like, you'll encounter some difficulties in life, some losses here and there.
Of
But the
course.
best thing is to learn from those experiences and to see what you can do better. I mean, from a personal standpoint, I started like getting more and more involved in politics in the last federal and provincial election. And I have to say, I have way more fun knocking on doors, doing that hard work of talking to new people, meeting new people, doing all of that work, than necessarily doing more so of the clerical work or anything like that. Because truly, it may be harder work, but it's nice to meet new people. It's nice to talk to people of the riding. It's a really good experience, and I highly suggest, if you're passionate about what you believe in, that you 100% go volunteer, go ask for some type of opportunity.
No, 100%. And advice for young people, and it's if you're as much as you're able to, because as you get older, you're gonna have to pay bills and you're gonna have to pay for things and everything else. But I think it's important to not look at every opportunity for the paycheck that happens, right? I mean, one of the things that I learned when I was, I guess, 19, 20, was you can do a lot cooler things for free than anyone will pay you to do. And then once you do it for free and you're good at it, maybe someone will pay you eventually. People say like, how do I get a job in politics? It's like, well, go get somebody elected. If you go help someone get elected, they're probably going to want to keep you around. And really it's, work hard, be nice to people, and don't take anything for granted. Even after my election, I still knock on doors, and it actually, it's an interesting thing. Since I got elected, sometimes I let myself look at my Twitter comments, or I look at, social media, and you get a lot of negativity. And then literally every time that I've knocked on doors, you get the complete opposite. Even if people don't agree with us on a policy decision, or they think that we were silly on one of the things that we've done, overwhelmingly people are kind. And even if they're a liberal or a new Democrat, or whatever they are, I think people appreciate when you actually have a chat with them and you come from an empathetic place. And sure, there are things that we're always going to disagree on, but overwhelmingly, I think people appreciate having their voice heard, um, and they appreciate somebody that can stand by their decisions, and defend why their party believes in a thing that they believe in. Like I said, I didn't learn that during my 6 months on the job. I learned that in 10 years of being a conservative activist, on the ground, knocking doors all across Ontario, and going through that, and doing that on behalf of other candidates. So there's super valuable skills that you can learn, and a great network. A lot of the people that are helping me on my campaign this time are people that I'd met helping on somebody else's campaign, kind of throughout my time in politics. So it all builds on itself. And if you're nice to people, then people are going to want to be nice to you. And maybe I look forward to knocking on doors for the Basu Bardwaj campaign, and out in Pickering sometime, out in the future. So I guess I'll also do a shameless plug for any of your viewers. We totally need door knockers, almost all the time. So if anybody wants to get in touch and come knock on doors in Brampton North, you're always welcome.
Yeah, 100%. So I want to move on to our next question, and this comes from Evan in Ottawa. And first of all, we want to also congratulate you on becoming an Ontario PC Party executive. But many people don't know what the exact roles and responsibilities of that is. So Evan wants to ask you, what is the role of an Ontario PC Party executive?
Thank you. Yeah, it was great. It was really excited when I got appointed by the premier to be one of the caucus representatives on the PC Party executive. And the PC Party executive is really the board of the party. And I think there's an important distinction. Obviously, you have caucus members, which are all the MPPs that are from the party that get elected. You have the government of Ontario. The PC Party of Ontario is the machine that uh, wins elections. And what we have on the executive, it's a group of dedicated people, all volunteers, people giving up their own time, that are party loyalists, that are making sure that our party is in the best possible position to win the next election. And that's through a few things. That's through growing the membership. And I'd encourage anybody that's watching, if you're not a member yet of the PC Party, sign up, join. It's $10 a year, and you're going to be joining a big family of like-minded individuals that all believe in making Ontario a better place. And the executive makes sure that we're treating those members fairly. So they sign up members. They make sure that our party database is organized. They make sure that we have the right people in the right places. So we're organized on the ground across Ontario. I mean, our election this time, the re-election for Premier Ford and the Ontario PC Party, didn't happen by accident. It was through thousands of volunteers that gave up their time. It was through donors that gave up some of their money to help us pay for lawn signs and pay for advertisements, and pay for pizza for the same volunteers I talked about. We ate a lot of it in Brampton North. And you know, what the party executive does and what the party does is make sure that those people have their voices heard, and that we're recruiting those people to help us with the next election. So, you look at what we've been doing. We've been getting shovels in the ground to build houses. We're building hospitals all across Ontario. We're building roads all across Ontario to help people get to where they're going. We only get to do all this good work if we get elected. You got it, and if we don't, we know what the consequence is. If we go back to the days of Liberals with disastrous energy policy and chasing the jobs away from Ontario, and refusing to build any roads or new hospitals, literally closing down hospitals in Brampton. We know the consequence of that. So it's very, very important that progressive conservatives get elected in Ontario, and that the party executive works to make that happen. So I'm excited for the opportunity to not only work to get elected or re-elected, I guess, in my riding, but also support the 124 candidates that we have as they get ready for 2026.
Yeah, it's a very important role, and it's more behind the scenes, but it's a very critical role. And obviously, I mean, I don't think they've chosen anyone better for the job. You're very well suited.
You're too nice, man. I look, it's like I said, it was an honor to get it. Certainly was surprised that I guess my work's been noticed, and just really happy to do it. Like I said, you got to look at any opportunity you have to serve and to support the party and support the membership as well, and grow our party and grow our base is a good one, and it's a good role. And I like I said, I'm no stranger to hard work. I look forward to working hard on behalf of the membership.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to move on to our last question, and this comes from me. And I want to ask you, what would you say is the biggest issue that your constituents and other Ontario citizens are facing, and what is your government doing to fix this?
So I think the biggest problem that we have right now is the generational gap, where we have the baby boom generation are quite frankly leaving the workforce, and the same people that built our country are the ones that we need to support now, and we need to support them in a few ways. We need to make sure that young people that are growing up in Ontario have the skills they need to get the jobs of today and tomorrow. We need to be aggressive recruiting people from other provinces and from other countries to come here, work here. We have a labor shortage of about 400,000 jobs unfilled right now in Ontario that we need people to come. We need people to come and fill. And when people come to Ontario, we need to make sure that they feel welcome. Through the ministry that I get to work in with Minister Ford, we do that from a multiculturalism and diversity standpoint. It doesn't matter where you come from, who you love, how you choose to worship God. Everybody belongs in Ontario, and we need you here. But we also do it by building and investing. We're the only party that had a credible plan to build long-term care homes, to build hospitals, to build highways, to build transit infrastructure, subways to get people to move around. We have an ambitious agenda to build 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years. And the left wing is losing their minds over our plan, by the way. But we need to do it. We need to get it done. We're due to have about 500,000 new Canadians coming into the country every year, starting in 2025. Most of them are going to come to Ontario, and we need them here. But we need to make people feel welcome when they come here. And if we were to invite new levels of immigration, we'd recruit people to come to Ontario, but we didn't build homes for them to live in. We didn't build roads for them to drive on. We didn't build hospitals for people to go to when they got sick. I can't think of a bigger nightmare than that. And believe it or not, that's literally what the NDP and the Liberals are suggesting that we do right now. They don't want to build any roads. They don't want to build long-term care homes. They want to close down all of the for-profit long-term care homes. They want to shut down projects like the Highway 413, which is going to come to service my community. They want to cancel things like the gas tax cut that we've been doing, where we're putting money back into people's pockets. They laugh at the idea that we're refunding license plate stickers, $120 per year per car, going back to people. it's really kind of dire consequences. So we really need to have a government that's going to get it done by building things to adjust to this growth. That's going to welcome people to come to Ontario, live a great life here, and be able to stand up against the criticism that we face from the NDP, the Liberals, and the Greens, where they oppose every measure that we introduce, where we're trying to build for the future.
I mean, all this criticism is coming from a party that the people of Ontario majority of did not vote for. I mean, it's clear what the people of Ontario think, right? They don't majority of us do not follow the fallacies of these left-wing parties, especially after their failures under Kathleen Wynne.
100%. And you look at they like to bring up the voter turnout, and it's how are you going to motivate people to vote for you when your main message is that you're going to cancel any progress, you're going to refuse to build any infrastructure for anybody to have on, you're going to want to tax them more, you're going to tell people what to think and how to behave, and you're going to tell them that the world is doomed, and it's all doom and gloom, and I mean, no wonder nobody voted for these guys, quite frankly. I think I at Queens Park, I get a little bit rough in the legislative chamber sometimes with the other parties, but I tell them, I said, look, like you've got to it's time for them to show that they've learned their lesson from the last election. Like, get on board, get on board with building homes, get on board with building roads and bridges and hospitals. It's hard to take a political party credibly when they're refusing to support all these investments. So, but reassure the viewers, obviously, that we're not going to let that stop us. We're going to keep fighting for a better future, and we're going to keep building Ontario.
100%. So I'm going to move on to our final segment, and this is advice for the next generation, where we're going to be talking about youth involvement in politics and more. So we asked this to everybody, and basically, what should young high school conservative students do in order to get more politically active, and what is one piece of advice that you would like to give them?
Come knock on doors in Brampton North. Well, I look. Feel free to reach out to me, Graham at grahammcgregor.ca. Seriously, we are still knocking doors. Not over the holidays, but we could always use the help. The other thing, that's kind of tongue in cheek, but really, my advice to young people is get involved, get active, work hard, and be nice to people. You know, don't be afraid to network aggressively with especially your peers, because when you meet good like-minded people that also work hard, and you decide you want to have a career in politics, those people that you're meeting that are your peers today are also going to be doing cool things. So help good people do cool things. Do what you can to help elect conservatives across Ontario, elect good people into office that are going to make good change for the residents. And like I said, don't look at every opportunity specifically at what you're going to get out of it today. If you work hard, you're earnest, you put your best foot forward. Some of the biggest opportunities I've had in my career come from work that I did 3 years ago that I forgot about. And somebody reminded me, said, "Oh, actually, Graham, you helped us with this project over here. We really want to help you out." I had a lot of donors for my campaign came out of the woodwork and were like, "Hey, I remember you from a campaign 6 years ago. Man, you worked hard. You knocked a lot of doors. Here's a couple $100. Go get them." I think every little thing that you do builds on itself for your career. So even if when you face adversity, just power through it. Keep working hard. Keep finding opportunities to help other people, and stay hungry. And if you stay hungry, work hard, and you're nice to people, I found very little evidence, and very few people that I know that have done those things that haven't been able to get a pretty good career in politics. So I do all those, and but most importantly, come knock doors in Brampton North, because we definitely need you.
Yeah, I mean, you yourself are a reflection of getting involved at a young age and to see what type of success you have achieved. So, thank you, Graham, for your time today. We really appreciate you being here with us and taking time out of your schedule, and we wish you well in the future.
Well, thank you so much, Vasu, and thank you to the viewers for watching. I really our party couldn't do what we do without the support of young conservatives like yourself. So I admire you for getting involved at a the young age that you have, and just keep going, buddy. Just keep going.
Thank you.